Hello all, welcome to the channel. Today I am bringing you the top 10 upcoming economic board games for 2023. The greatest, the best games in my opinion that you guys need to be keeping an eye out for. If you're an economic board game fan, folks, these are games that I think are going to be big this year. Well, in my opinion anyway, and I hope. So these games then, there's 10, there's no particular order. And I've started off with a few of my faves though. And these are kind of overviews of what they're going to be. Some of them have already had their Kickstarters and are due out soon. Some haven't even had their Kickstarters. But in terms of criteria, as of the Board Game Geek, they are all classified as, released 2023. So kicking off then, and I should say before I kick off, I have got a few additional games at the end of the video, so if you stick around, I've got a few games that didn't quite make the list and I'll go through some of those, so some bonus games. So the first game we have today is a game I've spoken about quite a bit on this channel, and it's Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory. I am waiting for my copy eagerly in the post. Look at that cover art, folks. You can take charge of the working class, the middle class, the capitalists, or the nation itself, the state. And they all kind of depend on your player number as to which factions you use. So I can't wait to see the goals you've got to do and how this interaction occurs between each of the players. You can see a bit of a close-up of the board here, hospital, university, factory. It doesn't ooze, the greatest artwork, but I do love how they've managed in the Kickstarter version anyway to give sort of unique cards and unique images to them. But in terms of this power play between players, so in terms of what is going on then, you're basically running one of these socio-economic groups and you're trying to all really work together to sort of simulate this contemporary nation. And you're sort of asymmetric, as I've kind of mentioned a few times, and you're basically just trying to get your faction to meet the goals. What else have we got? You've got sort of a lot of real life aspects to this in terms of taxation, foreign trade, the labour market. There's voting on certain policies and using your influence to change them. So it's just a really good looking implementation of a lot of real life economic aspects in a game. Now, in terms of complexity, it's heavy complexity, folks. There's a lot going on. 90 to 180 minutes, it says. It's going to be top end, isn't it? And it's 2 to 4 players. So I'm absolutely buzzed to give this one a go this year. Okay, another shot here of some of the, what can we see, labour market, fiscal policy. We've got immigration, so all those good juicy things our political systems and economies are made up of. So yep, can't wait for that one. And another shot of the board here of all these various spots, I'm assuming cards, and look at all those components at the bottom as well. Loads of goodness. Okay, the next game then, number 2, is a game I have played this year, and it's a stock market game. It's Gonza Index. Now, it's set in this sort of Solar 175 universe, which is another game that the publishers are bringing us, but this one just really caught my attention, and it's just this theme and this universe they've made. Just look at that quirky cover art there. So you can see a close-up of here of some of the cards that come into play and actions you can manipulate, but essentially you're taking the role of a stock trader in this futuristic dystopia, and you competing to gain either the most credits, and it's basically got this Yahtzee type round to round where you're rolling these dice, you get a chance to re-roll them, and they'll dictate the actions you can do. So are you going to go and get credits? Are you going to, what else could we do? We can add stuff to the corporations to get more investment in them and hopefully get more wealth at the end, which I really like the interaction between the players. And this is you compete to jostle up these different tracks. You can go and get things, well, there's events around that change stuff. You can get these cards here that manipulate things. So what have we got? Take up to 3 rerolls, a brokerage update, new IPO, add a new corporation to the game, and place one of your credits onto it if you are able to. And you can earn credits, purchase stocks, manipulate the markets, and gain the favour of powerful broker cards. And we've got another slide here of some of those events. And just at the top, you can see, if I zoom in, oh no, that's the wrong one. There we go. Some of the corporations, a bit fuzzy, but you're kind of going up these tracks, and there's some negative aspects as well. So yeah, I enjoyed my play. No one's talking about it, but yeah, Give this one a go if you get a chance. Next up then, a game I can't wait to play, and I really enjoy the kind of game this is based on originally, which I brought you guys a video on the channel, which is Global Mogul. But this one is American Mogul, so it takes a lot of the core concepts. There's not a lot of images out there. This is literally all I've got, this cover art here, which looks great in my opinion. But essentially they've added a few different aspects to it. You have got captain cards, which give a more asymmetrical start to the game, which sounds great. You've got different events. You can choose the end game score, and it says you've got a different action that allows players to donate money to your own private foundations. Now, the original game was essentially sending your agents out across this world, well, various world cards that have come out. So where are you going to try and get these resources produced across the world? Where are you going to have your influence? Are you going to get some companies and you've got to fulfill these private contracts and public contracts and just run your, umbrella organization essentially as you make the most of the market and get, buy goods, sell goods. So loads of nice stuff to like in that one. I'm just hoping this does a really good implementation of that and updates it and bring all these things they said they're going to bring in, but keep the core aspect there. So yeah, American Mogul. Number 4 then, we have Pampero, a game which is 1 to 4 players, and you're building wind farms and you're expanding and improving your grid to master the energy market. And this is heavier complexity. You can see a digital image here of the board online. A lot going on, as I say, heavy complexity. And I've got another closer up shot here of some of these tokens and loads of random stuff going on. But essentially, Uruguay has no natural resources, and it sounds like you are here to save the day. You're getting these renewable sources with biomass, I believe it was, and wind energy, and you're trying to make these energy efficiency gains, and essentially every player's got this. It does talk a lot about this card play, so that seems like a big aspect to it. It's free actions, and you're trying to get these cards back and play them in certain places at certain times. I don't really know a lot else other than the description it gives on the Board Game Geek, and it's not the best, but yep, you consolidate in at the end and achieving the right cards to generate batteries and stored energy. But in terms of collecting income, advancing, this energy and developing, there's been a lot of energy games in we had Gigawatt this year. So yeah, I'm just curious to see what this does with that, and the artwork and the depth of it looks great. So yeah, Pampero. 5th game we have is one I have played, I have featured on the channel. It is Age of Comics, the golden years. So if you want to take the role of a comic book publisher, this is the game for you. I got a closer up shot here of some of those worker placement spots. And essentially, you go into these spots, you are making sales, you're trying to get these writers, these artists, to then have ideas as well, to make these comics and get them published. You're then trying to make fans, and there's on the next slide, you can see on the far right, you're going across, I think it's Manhattan, and you're getting these orders, you're trying to fulfill these orders. You can see some ideas in the middle there, and the comic books at the bottom left there, you're going to go for originals, which give you more fans, or rip-off comics, which are very interesting because they're they're a bit easier to get, but they don't give you the glory of having more fans, and you need more fans because that's how you get your income from round to round, and then going back here, competing over these spots. It's got this really interesting aspect where you can see this royalties one where you literally go to get money. Eventually, if you get one of your editors, I think it is, at the bottom, you can see it's like a yellow section, so you can put your editor there, and every time you do this royalties action, you can get an extra sort of bonus at the bottom. So, what is it, $2 for one fan? I can't remember exactly what that does, but these bottom actions are great, and if you unlock them, loads of juicy stuff going on. So yes, you're accumulating fans, you are making these comic books, generating ideas, earning money. Loads of good stuff going on here, folks. Okay, the 6th game we have is a game I've not heard anyone speaking about, but the look of it caught my attention. It's similar to something called Underwater Cities, if you play that one, but this looks more economic. It's called Deep Shelf. Now, on the next slide, it's got this sort of groovy green components, and essentially, you are in charge of a corporation, and you're headed into deep sea exploration and exploitation and development and research. And you're taken on this role to extract rare earth materials, it says. And are you going to look after the natural ecosystems, or are you going to benefit and profit from them and cause a disturbance and bother? So what else we got? You're leading the corporation, deciding whether to expand quickly, or are you going to strip and mine the ocean for its wealth and potentially cause damage, as I said there. So another slide here of some dice that seems to have an impact on it. Some very interesting tokens going on, and obviously this is early prototype stuff. So yeah, looking forward to seeing this one and what it can do, and the slightly different themes from some of the other sort of usual Mediterranean economic aspects to gaming. So yeah, that is Deep Shelf. It says it's 1 to 4 players, and it's heavy complexity. So quite a few heavy complexity games on this list today, and 90 to 120 minutes. So the next game, the 7th game we have, is a zoo game. It is Zoo Tycoon. Big fan of Ark Nova. I'm not saying there's anything like the same, but look at these components on the next slide. You got something like over 200 of these that feature in the box. The artwork looks a bit funky on the cover on that bloke there, but essentially you're running a zoo and you're developing partnerships with national parks, conservations. You've also got, I think what I liked about this is the slightly more economic aspect of you're trying to balance this generation of money from, people visiting, and you're growing and thriving the business aspect. But it says you've really got to balance the enclosure sizes that impact maybe the social composition of, and also guest proximity, to try and achieve the right balance between animal and guest happiness. Happiness will play a particularly important role in animal reproduction, so you can reproduce in this game. And you got new animal options for additions to your zoo as well. And you can also make money from gift shops and booths, and you're trying to satisfy and generate revenue as usual. So, yep, you got another slide here. Look at those God, folks. How beautiful does that look? So, yeah, I'm really buzzed to see what this brings. Hopefully, something like Ark Nova as a theme, but some different elements. Now, talking of Ark Nova, I broke all rules. I've added an expansion. I just think it's that good. And if you like Ark Nova, this is just a must to keep an eye out for. And it is the Aquarius expansion, which is the first expansion in the series. I can't wait to see what this brings. Now, there's some fan art out there which looks amazing, and it's got whales and dolphins on the front, but I don't actually believe those are going to feature in the game. Instead, you're going to get some sea animals that are kind of reef dwellers, and they kind of have, it mentions it once you, I think it's a tame one or trigger one, it triggers them all. So curious to see what that brings. There's no more images on it, literally just this cover art with first expansion on. But it says you're going to get things that, variations of the 5 action cards. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what variations that brings. There's a drafting aspect at the start of play. Sounds good to me. Love drafting. Adds an asymmetry to it. You have got some more bonus tiles, some more final scoring, a 4th university with, breeding registry, it says. So I just love the base games. I just can't wait to see all this extra juicy stuff. So yeah, Ark Nova, the Aquarius expansion. At the 9th game, then, is one I have mentioned a few times. The publishers just bring some corkers of games, including Food Chain Magnets. So this one is Horseless Carriage. Again, there's not a fat lot out there. There's a few images on the Geek of the prototype being tested, but I didn't really want to put those on. I think it didn't do justice. But yes, this is the cover art. Now, is it going to win awards for enticing you on the shelf to purchase? It's probably not. But look, you're an economic board game fan and you're here. And this one, the description on the board game is pretty pants as well, actually. It just says it's a game about the dawn of the automobile and a time when cars were invented. No one really knew quite where that innovation was going, and you are taking charge of industrialists and you are going to make it work. Now, I've read the rule book and it says a lot more, so go and give it a read. It's free to read on the Geek there. And having read it, the board so far, it looks rather mathy, like Food Chain Magnate. If you're familiar with the board or not, it's got these grids. But it sounds fascinating, the use of it. From what I can recall, it's a marketplace where it determines the demand and the prices you're getting. You've got the innovations and the technologies you can develop. And essentially, you're trying to take and develop your research into these technologies to choose those aspects that are going to develop your automobiles. Sometimes it might have been on breaks, and it depends what the customers demand and how you're going to get the right pricing for that. So it goes through all that development stage of production, meeting supply and demanding it and competing against each other for jostling for just all that good stuff, really. So yes, I can't wait for this. Whether it comes out this year, I'm not too sure. It was 2022 previously, now jumped up to 2023. Hasn't even had his Kickstarter yet, but yeah, Horseless Carriage. Follow this one closely, folks. Okay, the 10th game we have, if I can pronounce it, is Alderman. So yes, I like the look of this one. Kind of, I've played a lot of those sort of Renaissance or Mediterranean games, but hey, this looks cool as well. It's very hairy, this one, and you can see some images of you probably going to go trading across this area of the world, and you are essentially an ambitious merchant in the medieval Hanseatic League, and you're fighting for your place at the top of the trade alliance. You're gaining more wealth, you're entering these regions in the North and Baltic Sea, contributing to the development of the flourishing city of Lubac. Basically trading goods, gaining wealth, getting money, securing as many victory points as you can through this council and votes, and getting your influence and majorities on the sea map. So loads of good things I like here. And as well, we got a rondel. Who doesn't like a rondel? So excited to see what that brings. Now this one is 2 to 4 players. Says it takes 100 to 180 minutes. So a longer play. Quite a few longer play games on this list. And I said heavy complexity. Now, I promised you folks some additional bonus games that didn't quite make the list, and these are as follows. What have we got? Top right, Distilled. Now, I didn't put it in because, I'm going to give it a go. It looks great. I've just played some really high quality, production of wine and champagne games already. Viticulture, Classic, Vinos. You got Age of Champagne I've spoken about recently. So another one. It's going to have to really prove itself to stand out amongst the masses there. But yeah, keep an eye on it. Theme Park Tycoon. No information on this other than you running a theme park. Sounds good to me. Let's see what this one brings. Whether it will be out this year, we'll see. We've got the bottom right, Brussels. I'm poor at just saying game names, but Brussels 1893, Bel Air Epoch. Probably said that completely wrong, but hey, this is I believe it's a re-implementation of a game, the same game that came out a while back. I believe it's just more modern. I haven't actually played the original one, which is probably why I put this on here. So yeah, I want to give this one a go. Stevens, the theme looks a bit bland for me, glass making, but yeah, keep an eye on that one. I think that's the first game the designers have brought. But yeah, Age of Inventors. Now, I like the look of this, but how economic it actually is, not quite sure. It kind of reminds me of something like Crystal Palace. Another fantastic game, but isn't that economic with the flow of money and production and all that stuff. But Age of Inventors, yeah, I like the look of that one, and keep an eye to Breeze. Kind of gives me that whole Istanbul vibe, but maybe with a bit more depth. Seems a lot of colours and vibrancy going on. So yeah, another one. And if I move my face, Kazuni, a game that had a Kickstarter campaign in 2022, didn't do too well. I think they're trying to relaunch it, get a bit more marketing, a bit more buzz about it. But the concept of this logistical aspect of moving goods around this sort of square board and getting them and the supply chain, for me, I like the look of that one. Send me the game, I'll market it for you folks and give you some buzz. But yeah, these games, just some little bonus games for you. But yeah, that is the top 10, in my opinion, games I am really looking forward to. Hopefully some games caught your attention. And there we are, folks. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon.